Thank you. Good morning. Monday, September 13th. This is the Tufton Borough Board of Selectmen's meeting. Let us begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so we're going to start with a public hearing for the acceptance of Deer Path Lane and Farm Pond Road as Class 5 highways of the town. And at town meeting in 2020, Article 25 of the warrant was voted to approve the acceptance of these two roads as town roads once all of the improvements had been made to them to bring them up to town standard. So I will open the public hearing for RSA 74:40-A. Do we have any public input?
They're finished.
Yes, yes, they are.
They're done, and
they look great.
And they've passed all of their inspections, as I'm sure you know.
Yep, and it's been a long path, hasn't it?
Yes, it has, but it's been great.
Well, and I just want to congratulate you personally on putting this subject vision together and in the manner that you have and finishing things out. It's a beautiful area.
Thank you very much.
And it's certainly, from my perspective, is an example of the way things should be done. And I think the market has shown that too. You haven't had any problem with people buying lots and coming in there and building, and it's a nice neighborhood.
And building very, very appropriate homes.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Yep.
We have a tremendous amount of traffic, sightseers, just cruising through the neighborhood,
Looky-loos.
looking at things.
Yep.
And Al said, I wish I had 23 more lots to sell.
That's a true story.
Yeah. Yep.
We have wonderful people that are bought too. We all get along wonderfully well. We like each other. We have little gatherings sometimes right on the cul-de-sacs or say hello, and you know, it's been wonderful.
Yeah, we'll have to watch those parties though.
Now that the town owns the road.
Yep.
This gentleman, Ray Torres, is one of our neighbors who built a new home there, a very nice one. They're all very nice.
Great.
Well, in deference to our chairman who needs to be out of here by 11, I'm going to make a motion that we accept Deer Path Lane and Farm Road as Class 5 highways.
Okay, I think I have to close the hearing first.
Don't we do that? Accept it first and then close the hearing?
I don't know. Anyway, all right, so I'll second your motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you kindly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can
And-
look for our plow trucks any day now.
Yep. Snow will be flying soon,
Yes, it will.
I'm afraid.
Yes, it will. All
Okay,
right, we're all set then.
great.
We can depart.
You may, yes. You're welcome to stay, but if you don't want to, I'm perfectly happy with that as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. We're happy. We're very happy.
Making people happy since 1951. That's-
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for your help for her too.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, is there any public input? Hearing none, I'll move on to review and approval of minutes. Friday, September 3rd, regular meeting. I didn't see any additions or corrections?
I'll move approval of the minutes.
And I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next is the work session minutes from Thursday, September 9th. You probably have it there someplace.
I'll move approval of the work session minutes.
And I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Let's move on to appointments.
I just saw Chris.
Yeah.
Chris is out here working on his paperwork.
All right.
You're supposed to do your homework the night before.
Morning, Chris. How are you? Good. I'm well.
Some August numbers and some numbers from last year, year to date, and this year to date. So we're down a little tiny bit in a couple areas, and we're way up in a couple of areas.
So, yeah, so your solid waste were almost year to year the same.
Yeah.
You're
10 tons.
10 tons less.
We're
but
10
that's-
tons, we're 10 tons less in solid waste. Excuse me, 10 tons more in solid waste.
Oh, yeah.
But we're 7 containers more, just the way the solid waste is coming in and with packing. But we're 250 tons more on construction debris. About 1 ton more in plastic.
Mhm.
We're up about 19 tons on cardboard. We've got 35 tons on the site right now, waiting to be shipped. We've got to wait until we've got 40 tons before we can ship it.
So your scrap metal is down.
Well, we're waiting. I just got a slip here. I was waiting for the slip to come in. I just received it because we just had a shipment. We just had about 7 tons. Wow. So
But that's,
we're still down probably 10 tons
From last year.
from last year, a little bit, yeah. Looks like aluminum,
you're 365 gallons up on your used oil. So we're at 600 gallons. What's that rate of travel?
$75 a load.
So you're about 75 gallons a month. So you've got another 4 months to go.
Yeah.
So you got another 300 gallons coming in.
And people are bringing that in droves. I mean, people just bring that in by the gallon.
So should we re-examine waste oil usage?
It's a free service for the public, and they bring it in by the 5-gallon jugs. People,
No, I know, but what we do with it?
we just ship it out for recycling.
Yeah.
Clean Harbors comes, pumps it out, and they take it, recycle it.
Yeah. And is there a cost to us for them or?
Yeah, $75
Okay. So, and they keep the oil.
$75
per trip. They come and pump it out.
and how many gallons do they take?
300.
Okay, so you got $150 cost plus another 150, another 75.
It's getting so it takes about a month and a half to fill up that tank.
Cool. So how is the, I guess that'll be over here.
Yeah, so this month, we are offset. We ended up with about $11,000 difference for offset costs.
So you've had, where's your revenue?
We had 17,926.
Got it.
28,000 in costs.
So you got 28 grand worth of expenses against
Correct.
$17,000 worth of revenue.
Mhm.
So our formula's not working.
Well, not completely,
No.
but we had the electronics container went out this month. We had, the tin cans went out this month, which is more of an expense. We don't make money on that.
So ECER,
Yeah, that's the electronics.
okay. And plastic is and another plastic at 147.
The
So,
household waste was almost 11,000 this month.
the what, I'm sorry?
Household waste was almost 11,000 this month.
That's right. So you had $11,000 worth of trash,
Almost 10.
$1,792 worth of other stuff. So 12,792, and you had 28 minus 17 is 11,000. 12. So it's, yeah, it's not as bad as it looks initially.
Right,
It's still not that great.
right.
And the highlight is the cardboard shipment that we sent out was almost $4,000.
I'm sorry?
So the highlight is the cardboard shipment that we sent out was almost $4,000.
Yeah,
Coming in.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. But I'm just looking at user fees versus this.
Right.
So user fees, 17,651. And we want to balance that off against,
28,000.
yeah, but 28 includes
All the others.
MSW, right?
Right, that would be everything.
That's everything. So, and the user fees are for non-MSW. So
Right.
we got C&D 10,8,
Mhm.
and then 590 for other costs. Is that right?
Yes.
So
That's the plastic and
yeah, so we're talking like 11,300 in cost,
Mhm.
17,651 in revenue. But the timing on that isn't exact, right? I mean, this is money that came in,
correct.
but what we paid out doesn't necessarily reflect exactly what came in during that period because of timing difference. So year-to-date, how do we look on those numbers? Or is this year-to-date?
I don't think it's year to date.
No.
I think it's the month of August.
This is the month of August, right?
These numbers reflect August.
Right.
Year to date, I've got time. Mine was, I have the budget reflection here.
Yeah.
What we spent. But I just have the balance.
Yeah, right. So, and if you don't have these here, that's fine, but it's something that helps us is to say, okay, so snapshot for the month, we took in more on the stuff that we collect on than we paid out.
Yeah.
But if we look at the whole first 8 months of the year,
How's it look?
yeah, how does it look against that?
I can tell you what my expenditures have been
Yeah,
for
for the first 8 months,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, and my MSW expenditures are 74,551 for MSW,
74,551,
correct.
okay. And how about C and D?
My balance for MSW is 36,698.
Yeah,
My CD is 57,387.
57387.
Yeah.
All right, so then I guess the question for me is, how much have we collected in user fees over that same period of time?
Right.
And if it's somewhere in the same vicinity, then we're in reasonably good shape. If we're 20 or 30,000 behind, then
Right.
that's suggesting we're out of line.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. I'm hoping that we're on the downslope,
Yeah,
August brings September down.
yeah,
With construction debris, I don't think that we're on that trend
mhm,
with the way the building is.
Yeah.
yeah,
Household waste, I think, with being after Labor Day, we might be in good shape.
so we got two different, in my mind, we got two different things going on here. One is you got the budget, and you're watching that, and we all, and that's important to do that. And whether there's enough left in what we budgeted this year to cover all the C and D, and if there isn't, then we're gonna have to find money someplace else to do it. So that's the operating budget, and it's important to watch that. The other piece, though, is for those things that we charge a user fee for, like C and D, that represents revenue. We can't use it directly. I mean, it's a revenue offset against what we pay out. It doesn't mean that if we have revenue over and above what we anticipate, that we can spend more in our total budget than what we have there. We find money someplace else, but it's important on an ongoing basis to make sure that those parts of the operation that we want to fund out of user fees, we're actually collecting enough money on. So municipal solid waste, the taxpayer pays for that. I mean, that's just part of living here and paying your tax bill. C and D, the town has established that that the user pays a fee to tip their C and D, and the purpose of that fee is to offset the cost of our getting rid of it. So you see what I'm saying? The two separate pieces. So we all need to be concerned that we're budget-wise, we know where we are, and if we have to find money someplace else to cover this stuff, then we've got to do that. But the other piece is, are we collecting enough money from the people that are tipping C and D to cover the disposal cost? And so somewhere you're going to have a record of what you've collected year to date in
Right.
user fees, right?
Right, yeah.
So we should probably put a spreadsheet together on that, because at some point here, the months are going by, and come October, we're gonna have to look at the budget. So if the trend towards is up in MSW, let's say, we need to adjust our figures going forward to accommodate for that, so we're not running out of money. And also, we can really fine tune the C and D, because we're gonna have to defend the C and D cost in the budget for the budget committee. So we can defend that with revenue.
I have these weekly sheets that have the,
So put together a spreadsheet for, isolating, let's say, C and D, or isolating all those little, computers and batteries and all that crap. And plug in the year-to-date numbers and figure out where we're at.
Yes, and I guess if you look at it month by month through the whole year, then you can kind of see, these are the heavier months,
Right.
these are the lighter months, and it's helpful going
Yeah, it's just-
forward in, are we on track, or are we veering off one direction or the other?
I just look at, and this first page that we looked at is really key, because if you 246 tons up on C and D, that's a trend in my mind. The cardboard should have its own little spreadsheet to show the offset of revenue against the cost, because we don't charge people for cardboard. And, scrap metal is gonna be what scrap metal is, I think it's just gonna come and go. But the dramatic increase in used oil, we may wanna take a look sometime next year about, is there a market for it? Is there something else we can do that, if we're gonna continue to have 1,000 gallons worth of waste oil to handle, what's the best use of it?
And I know we have looked in the past, at burning it in the boiler, and again, this is maybe 10 years ago when we looked at it, it's like, we get a few hundred gallons and it's not worth it really to put in the equipment to deal with it. So at some point, it may tip that scale. It's like, yeah, if we're getting 1,000 gallons, or if we're getting 1,500 gallons of oil, then it really makes sense to put in the filtration, the purification stuff, to take that stuff and run it directly in our boiler.
well, I mean, yeah, I think it all adds up in the future, if we're talking about adding on to the building, maybe whatever. Oh,
Yeah, it's all
it all multiplies.
just components, whether or not, I don't know what people do with waste oil, but somebody does something with it.
Homebro uses it to heat their highway department.
Right.
Right. Yeah, and again,
But I'm sure they get a good deal more than we do. I mean, we're
Yep.
getting Maybe 900 gallons this year.
Yep.
Who knows? Then maybe Multiboro's a buyer. Maybe they need a little more. But anyway, just a small item. The bigger items being obviously the MSW and the C&D. And I don't see the C&D slowing down.
No,
well, if you talk to Jack, it's not gonna,
No.
I mean, it keeps getting more and more and more.
130 something permits last month.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and you look at, there was one that came through where that appeared as though they were tearing down the house and building something brand new. So what are you gonna do with the torn down house, but bring it up to Chris and
Yeah.
get rid of it?
Well, hopefully with those large volumes, you bring in a container and do it on site, rather than, trailer load or pickup truck load at a time. I mean, that's.
Now, did you hire some folks? You came and talked to us about it?
But we had several people apply and one came through.
Okay.
So, yeah, I have the paperwork out there.
So you got
The
one,
final
you got one
one that
additional,
came through.
right?
Good.
And you're looking for more?
Yeah.
Yep, okay. Any other issues you got going on?
No, just waiting for the budget time.
Anything
It's just-
going into CIP this year for you?
I put 2 things in, hopefully that maybe go through. I'm trying to push that new backhoe through. Get that, so that we can get that old backhoe.
Right. How many hours on that thing?
2000
Yeah.
something. It's just old. It was 2,000 hard hours. It was main turnpikes before I was.
Right.
So it's had a hard life, and it's underpowered. It's non-turbo, and
Right. Does it have an extendable boom?
it does.
No, it's-
But we're using it to pull those 10-ton containers out and put new ones in. So it's tired. And I put in for a pickup truck, the plow, so clean up.
Okay, because we have been using the box with the skid
Yeah,
steer.
but I wanted to sand over the back of it. So we had salt out there and take a little bit of the heat off of Jim.
Well, let's take a look at those numbers, because I'm thinking, well, Jim can give us a better idea, but buying a truck versus, hiring somebody to plow a place.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think you're gonna get into a plow truck for much less than 50 grand. So,
Well, I put 65 for truck, plow, and sander,
yeah,
because they have the upfit package for Jim.
right.
Comes with the whole package.
Well, subject to discussion, but you know, that's what the process is designed to do. You put together things that you want, you submit it, deal with the CIP.
I canceled the sign, flashing sign
You got out of the sign business?
that,
Right.
that,
And how's the Quonset, is that leaking, or is that still good?
it's fine, yeah.
Okay. And no issues with Dennis and his trailer, or whatever that's called?
Box,
container?
yeah.
No. No,
Good.
that's good. That's all that there.
Do we have brush going out of
I
there?
put some signs in, the brush, I haven't hauled out any brush piles in fine shape.
Okay. Didn't look too crazy.
No, it's not really much up there. I put up some new safety signs, put some safety trends, we painted some lines.
And the swap shop's doing okay?
Swap shop is running smooth as cake.
Nice.
Good,
Perfect.
Yeah.
all right.
You're free to go.
Good.
Thank you, Chris.
All right.
Just don't leave town.
That's a little,
Morning, Dennis.
Good morning.
Packs and
Good,
wreck.
thank you.
How are you?
Fine, well, you guys are right on time. I'm here 30 seconds and I'm up.
Yeah, you're up.
Thank you, guys.
We don't want you missing any of this good weather.
I gotta say that I'm so glad I moved to New Hampshire. I had my 50+1 class reunion this weekend in Mass. I haven't been back to Mass since I moved here. Boy, I'm so glad I'm up here with traffic and
Yeah,
Yeah.
houses so close together. I mean,
it's different. It's a different world.
It is. Plus, you see some of your classmates. We had a big class, 325 maybe. But some of you gotta look at the tag, hey, hi, Bill. Anyway, yep, I'll just give you an update or a review of the old home days. We had 6 events. I thought all of them went pretty good. The library opening was Friday, and then Saturday we had the Four Corner Church and the Historical Society, both kind of doing similar luncheon and farmers market, stuff like that. Good. It was kind of a scaled down home days, but I think all 6 events went good. The boat race on Saturday, we only had 4 entries, but we had a huge crowd and we had a great race. A girl actually won probably by about 3 feet, so it was very exciting. One of the guys I'm proposing to become a commission member, and I want to talk about that a little bit. he wants to actually run a boat building class next year and try and get some more interest, you know, police and fire and the high school against, you know, so we're building on that, and I think it'll be better next year. The scavenger hunt went really good with Lowell Poston doing a great job. Pinecone donated all the gifts for the raffle we had. Anybody went through the scavenger hunt got a chance. So we gave out 6 restaurant certificates, and the Pinecone was gracious to do that, second year in a row. I really got to thank Priscilla and Jen in the clerk's office. They worked hard both days for me, both the boat race and on the town picnic. They had 2 hours of intense serving, so they did a good job. Some of the commission members, Eileen Gill and Mark, did a good job. Larry Gill was on the grill. And speaking of grill, the kid I just mentioned, Chris, he's a friend, Lamonette, I think. He brought down a grill. He only used it 2 or 3 times, like a brand new grill. So we were leaving, packing up on Sunday, and I called him. I says, "You coming to get the grill?" He says, "No, you guys can have it." So we got a nice grill. But also at that town picnic, I met another lady, Joyce Lake, and we got to talking. She's big into pickleball, but she's interested in joining the commission also. And we talked for a while, and then she gave me $100 bill, so.
Nice.
Yeah, we're on. So again, just kind of update me again, because we haven't brought a lot of members on, but we're lucky to bring 2 more on. How does that procedure work again?
So the commission sends us a request
Okay,
to approve some new members.
yeah,
Send it to Kathy.
Okay.
And then it comes to the selectmen's meeting, and
We vote on it,
we vote on it, and
sign the appointment.
yeah.
and then-
so the commission's actually meeting tomorrow night.
Yeah.
So from that point, they just put something in writing, or just give it?
Yeah, just
You
give
can
it to
have
us.
them into your commission meeting as alternate members.
Even though they're not in,
Or
yeah.
non-voting,
Yeah,
and then have your commission then vote to include them.
I got you,
At
yeah.
the next meeting, there'll be
voting, yeah. Is there a limit?
So I don't know that there's a limit.
Yeah, there's no upper limit, it's a control thing. I mean, if
Yeah.
you get a committee too big, it's difficult to
Yeah,
Right.
no,
come up with
yeah.
some sort of consensus.
Right.
But no,
So for land use boards, there's a structure, but for like a Parks and Rec Commission, as far as I know, there's no maximum number. But you're right, you know, you get 87 people
Yeah,
in there, and
no,
it's
no.
like.
but you need,
Is
like,
that why you only have 3 selectmen?
That's
that's a power.
That's right.
So you can actually make decisions, you have
Yeah.
5 and you can't make.
Right,
any.
so if you go to towns that have 5 selectmen and watch how it works, then you recognize the difference.
But having enough members so that, I mean, you've got a
Yeah.
lot of programs that you're plugging in, that you can give a member a task
Yeah,
that's not unreasonable, but it,
yeah,
you know, makes the thing happen as opposed to you trying to do everything.
right, yeah. Well, I just saw the agenda for tomorrow night, and Brandon's really taking charge, similar to what you're saying, by assigning different people, different functions. And it's unfortunate because cornhole started last Tuesday, and I'm locked in Tuesday nights. We got 24 people signed up. So Brandon and I are gonna meet tomorrow and go over what I have to go over, and he's gonna reinforce that. But, you know, that'll only go for 1 or 2 meetings, and then cornhole, you know, will be done, so.
And you've got a secretary who's doing the minutes.
Yeah,
You probably, if people are handing you $100 bills, you should talk to your commission about having a treasurer.
having a what?
A treasurer, because just having you get money and then you do it, I don't know what you do with the
I just put it
$100.
right up there.
I'm sure you
Goes to
do.
Jeff.
But it's good to have, you know,
Yeah.
cash controls. And having a treasurer gets your mind off of it. You know,
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about who's paid their dues or what kids
Right,
have signed
right,
up
yeah.
and paid and that sort of thing. So you may want to consider having, especially have membership enough.
Yeah,
That's the key. If you've got 6 or 7 or 8
right.
members, then it's easier to do.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so coming up, we've got we just finished, it was actually work Labor Day, 16 bags of concrete we actually used to put in the volleyball standards, and then this other game called funnel ball. But they're up, they just gotta have the net put on. But Bubba Bowley again, he was the expert, I was the bull guy, I was mixing the cement.
And where is this?
We got the school bought like a $3,000 volleyball setup, beautiful. And with that, they
So
got.
it's a Davis Field?
Yeah, and then with that, they got another funnel ball game. But they didn't have anybody to install it, so Bubba is on his own now as a plumber, he's busy, so you gotta go when he's ready, so. He called me Labor Day, I said, let's go, so we went up there. It's funny, because you're digging the holes, and you know, you hit ledge, you hit rock, so, but I mean, we got them in, and I think it'll be something, you know, the kids enjoy up there. But punt, pass, and kick, we've never run that. It's going to be October 16th at Davis Field. And that's just a competition. I don't know if you've ever seen it on, they actually highlighted it at the Super Bowl and stuff.
When is it, September?
October 16th, yeah.
That's
And
a Saturday, right?
yeah, and there's 5 different age groups, I think, boys and girls, and you submit your winners to the next level. But we're gonna try that, hopefully. We got a good turnout. The coach up at Kingswood, the football coach, said he'd help out, so that'll be a good one. CPR AED class is scheduled at the fire station October 26th. And this time we can have 12 people. They have another instructor, so normally it's 6 to 1, but now they got another one, so we can have 12. I think we got about 3 or 4 signed up now, so. We finally got permission, the insurance, everything ready to go to start programs at the Central School on Thursday, 6 to 8. So, you know, that's kind of a, you think about it, it's kind of an odd time, 6 to 8, you know, the kindergarten kids aren't coming out. So I think we're gonna do something with 4, 5, and 6, maybe a 6-week dodgeball game just to get them interested. And then we'll go from there into basketball or whatever, so.
So that's
It's
Thursdays?
Thursday nights, yeah, 6 to 8, we got the gym. You know, met with the new principal. You know, outside of COVID, and then even before that, it was all booked up, pickleball and everything else. So we finally got a slot, so I'm happy about that.
Great.
Like I said, the Fall Cornhole Leagues started last Tuesday, again, 24 players.
Yeah, cornhole was on television the other night.
What, Cornhole?
Yeah, I was surfing through the channels.
Yeah, they're not as good as us.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're not. I didn't stop.
No.
I just saw it there.
They're
On
good.
some of those sports channels.
Yeah.
So 20 Mile Bay, the swim lines are in.
They were in July.
I mean, they're out.
Oh, they're out.
They're out.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw somebody,
Out
was it
and out.
Saturday morning, somebody was working to take them out?
Well, believe me, you know, it's a big thing for the doctors. And again, how much are they gonna give up? Are they gonna give us the whole thing? So talking to Jim Beam earlier last week, you know, I says, you know, just get to me back. He's checking with this guy. Call the next day, nothing. Call the next day, nothing, you know. So finally I called, left it, I said, Jim, here's the doctor's number.
So did we do it or did they do it?
I don't know. I drove
Well,
by today and it's gone.
Yeah, well,
So-
I drove by and somebody was out in a John boat. on
Yeah, he was still gonna be in the
Saturday morning.
boat, the dock.
So, and I couldn't tell if it was anybody
Yeah.
other than him
Yeah.
there. But it looked like it was maybe the old folks were doing it still.
Yeah,
so.
I can't get a clear answer from, and they're nice, you met them here at the meeting.
Yeah.
How much they wanna give up. But again, I gave Jim Beam the doctor's number. He says, here, rather than me be the little guy, you call him and set it up. So I just drove by and they're out, so thank God.
Yep.
Calling to Zach
And I
Tufts.
drove by yesterday, their boats up on the beach at 20 mile an hour.
They were?
Yeah.
Were they?
Yeah. Somebody's
Yeah.
pulled their pontoons in there, so,
Yeah.
but it's time of year, it doesn't really
Yeah.
interfere with much.
Zach Tufts got calls into when we're gonna get the Melvin and the 19 mile docks out of there. Still trying to solve a problem with the geese. I mean, we were at I think it was the boat race, and Jen says to me, have you been on those docks? I said, no. she said, you should go out there. One of the ladies complained, and it was, I went out, it was just covered with, you know, so it took me a while to get it out. And I didn't push it in the water, I picked it up. But, so I'm trying to find the best way to keep them out. Of course, if you had a dog there, it'd be great, but this one old guy that was playing in the band at the town picnic said a potato gun. Then some said pinwheels, you know, but some days, I mean, the beaches are clean. Other days, you could see they had a party there, you know. But I didn't realize the docks, that's their favorite sitting spot too. So if you have any ideas out there, let me know. Okay, again, I gotta thank Lloyd Wood. He's been great. He's brought down coolers and trash barrels for the picnic. He's helped me bring stuff up to storage with his truck. We helped load up brush and stuff. So he's getting back. He's getting back to where he was, you know. So we appreciate that. Working on the budget, working on a Halloween program again, basing it with the school. And then certainly, you know, I got to get to it, and I haven't got to it yet. There's 4 different groups with the grants, one from Bald Peak, one from the Hikers, New Hampshire Electric Co-op, and the conservation contacts they gave me. So there's plenty of information there to get grants for this bike trail. So I just haven't got to it yet, but I will. So that's all I have, boys.
Has there been any conversation yet with the Conservation Commission on the bike trail of it? So they understand what's proposed?
Yeah, they do. They invited me to the last meeting, and unfortunately I got a thing. I had to take my granddaughter to Logan. She's going to the University of Utah, so I didn't go, but I will update them on anything. You know, we've been a good time. And Lowell's part of the commission. Larry Gill, who I see, you know, quite regularly, is part of the commission. So, yeah, I'll make sure that they will stay informed.
So what are you doing with your spare time?
You know, my yard is a mess. This, you know, we went up to Vermont 2 weekends ago to see my grandchild. This past weekend was reunion weekend, but of course my grandson is the best player in the state, so we had to go to his game Friday night. Unfortunately, they got a terrible team up there in Kennett, but he's had interest. Holy Cross has had him down. New Hampshire wants looking at him.
Yeah.
He just got an invite to see Tilton Academy, and he's only a junior, but he's a monster. You know, he's like Gronkowski. You know, but I don't know if you know the story. It's not a funny. It's a courageous story with the quarterback from Kennett. He's the one that had his leg amputated a couple years ago, Camden. And the Boston Sport, I mean, he's with Brady when Brady was in the Patriots and brought him down. I mean, but he's the starting quarterback.
Really?
It's amazing, yeah. And the way they did it, they turned it up so his actual heel and his foot are sticking out here. But he's all padded up. But, you know, the kid, I mean, he's got a beautiful arm, but I mean, as a quarterback, you got to have a lot of options at running and stuff.
Yeah.
He's pretty limited, but that's the best they got, you know. But that's quite a story, so.
Yep.
What else? Anything else, guys? Okay, I'm gonna give you a personal invite next year to the
Yep.
town picnic. I know you're out of town, no excuse. All right, boys.
Thanks, Dennis.
See
See you later.
Yep.
You get the picnic.
Yeah.
What am I looking at?
It's for,
This is,
Oh,
all right, so let's do that next. So we have,
put that in.
so do you have a recommendation?
I do,
Okay,
the top one.
CN Brown is giving us 238.9
Fixed.
is a fixed.
Yeah.
Irving is 244.9, and Carroll County Oil is 244.6. So,
246.
246, yeah.
246,
Yeah.
right?
It's the diesel that seems to favor CN Brown. Because they've got the on-road diesel at 244.9.
Yep. Well,
And
and
Irving
heating
is
oil,
249.
heating oil favors it as well, 238.9.
Well, I'll make a motion that we award CN Brown our 2021-22
Fuel year.
Yep,
fuel year.
okay, and I'll second that. Any further discussion?
And while you're at it.
All right,
it's going to-
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
And,
You're welcome.
Nice
Yeah, those
job.
are good prices. I had to call again just to verify,
Yeah.
make sure I wasn't misunderstanding.
Well, so that's why we put it out to bid, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it does,
I'll
Yeah,
make a
and
motion.
Eastern, excuse me, Chip, Eastern Propane was asked for a bid,
Mhm.
invited for a bid,
Right.
and they declined and withdrew because he didn't have any more oil left. I guess they buy the supply.
their allocations are already
Yeah.
committed up
Yeah,
elsewhere,
yeah.
okay?
So
well,
they were given
makes
an
sense.
opportunity, yeah.
And I'll make a motion to have the chairman sign the fixed price agreement with CN Brown.
Okay, I'll second that.
I just-
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Oh, okay.
If I could just, I thought the gentleman from Belknap was gonna be here.
He is.
I mean, I do have a lot of leftover hot dogs, hamburgers, rolls, soda, and I know our picnic's coming up, if you could use it.
All right.
Maybe mention it.
So this, let's see, so we got an initial,
We'll be here in like
initial,
10 minutes.
And the signature on the second page.
initial, initial. Initial. And then the signature back here. Please.
Oh, we have
Okay.
names right here.
Hmm?
Get some of the names.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it was something different.
all right,
Okay, all right.
there you go. You can fax that back to him or whatever.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, yeah.
All right. So while we have a little lull here, we'll go to the signature file.
That would be great.
Updates on the annual safety inspections for
Yeah.
for all of the different buildings.
So they're all done?
So,
No.
well, so the inspections were done, and some of the and this is a follow-up
Recommendations?
report looking for one signature from the selectmen acknowledging the situation. So transfer stations, all done with theirs. Library's done with theirs. Highway garage, no response. Town beach, Melvin Wharf, no response. Police department, no response. Let's see. Well, the police department was just, there wasn't any real action items, or the town office. So,
I'll make a motion that we have the chair sign those.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. And would you, Kathy, rattle Jim's cage on these?
Yeah,
Hmm?
okay. Will do.
Yeah, take those with you while we're doing this.
I have a guy's folder for whatever reason.
Oh, I wanted his. Oh, do you want yours? Did I give you yours?
No, I just didn't want, I'm writing notes all over the place, so it's in his folders.
Is it?
Yeah.
There was a pile in it, so I assumed it was yours.
Well, I took the magazine home with me, so I was wondering what happened.
Oh,
to the
that's
copy.
why. Where's your folder then?
All right. Next item on the signature is supplemental warrant for taxes, and this is for the betterment assessment for Willand Road. And you're familiar with this, correct?
I am, I read through it just the other day when we were here, Friday.
And these are based on the land values of the various parcels that abut the road.
Yep.
And we've established that that's an acceptable way to parcel
Right.
the assessment.
There's a lot of latitude, I mean, we can do it any way but lottery.
Yeah.
I mean, and that seemed to be the fairest way, and it'll have to be, I think we made a note that we're gonna review it every 5 years.
Well, I put on the warrant annually because I
Okay.
think, just because of the spreadsheet,
Okay.
in case you,
All right.
with the changes of cost right now and properties and.
Right. So I'll make a motion that we sign that, should we, or, I guess we need to do it for Jackie.
Yep, we do. All right, and I'll second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Next, we have an agreement to disband the intermunicipal agreement for provision of aquatic nuisance plant control between the towns of Tuftonboro and Wolfboro. And this is the final step in disbanding that agency. Was established by agreement on July 1st of 2010. And this is the last piece we need for the state to make sure it's gone. All the money's been distributed, and this is just the paperwork.
And is it one signature?
So it is one signature, chairman's signature.
I'll make a motion that the chair sign the dissolution.
All right, and I'll second. All in favor?
Aye. Thanks.
Next, we have a right of burial for Douglas Barker at the Town Hall Cemetery.
I make a motion that we sign.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Morning, Andy.
Morning.
How are you?
Good.
All right, I think that's all for the signature file. All right. No stats yet, huh?
What was, Kathy, what was that Zoom meeting or something I was supposed, is that this week?
That's it right there, it's the
That's it, this is it?
21st.
Okay, this is 9/21.
And I already told Cammy to do a tickler to remind you that week.
Good. Good,
18 phone calls.
at least.
Yeah. That's right. All right. So,
Did Chief need something?
he's here for Seth.
Oh, all right.
Come on in, Seth. All right, thanks. We're actually running a couple minutes early, and that's good.
All right.
I'm on a tight schedule.
Morning.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah. I brought a map of camp. I figured that would help the conversation.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. And I'm going to suggest
You want to put it over here?
You put it over here so it's available for
How are you?
Well,
the
yourself?
viewing audience.
Glorious morning.
Yes, it is. These are the days we
Yes,
for.
September is
Yes.
the month.
Yep.
Is it warm? Yes.
So Seth, thank you for coming in today. As you know, we invited you to talk about traffic control issues on changeover day. That,
You guys see this all right?
yeah, yep, you can see it fine,
All right.
yep. And
So I'll grab my notebook.
I know we've had, there was at least one and maybe more than one turnover day. Maybe you can lead us along, Chief, because you were involved in some of what was going on.
I guess you'd call it turnover day. It's the Saturday when people are leaving, campers are getting picked up, and Sunday is when they come in. This year, Camping put some traffic control in. One of the issues that came up though was a particular Saturday where we had 36 cars lined up along Chase Point Road during changeover the Saturday at like 9 o'clock. Apparently, some parents obviously want to get their kids and they're enthusiastic. They show up a few minutes early.
They were different than me. I always was the last one to fix it.
Stretch it out as long as you can. But anyways, a number of people came early and it took up a considerable length of the road. Probably someplace from, I want to say the road to the Cadets maybe, almost to Clark Field. There was, and it's a concern that, you know, half the road was kind of blocked up. I've spoken to Seth and Mr. Miller about this, and the issue is, at the time, that they don't really want people coming in early onto the camp property, at least where the cabins are, because of that's when a lot of the kids are still coming back from breakfast, and so they need that time to get everybody to their cabins. But the issue is it blocks one half of the road for a distance, and it's not long, but it's enough that it was a concern that was raised and has been in the past raised, but that was before the traffic control was put in to deal with it. And what I saw, the one Saturday I worked, it didn't happen that way. It just happened this one particular Saturday. I think for some reason that Saturday more people showed up earlier than past ones, I guess. Not sure exactly how some of the other weeks went on changeover day.
So, and there's two different changeovers, right? Two pieces to it, right? One is picking up the kids that are leaving.
That's on a Saturday, starts at 9 in the morning.
And then the other one is when the new campers come.
That's Sunday, and
That's
that's
Sunday.
kind of all day long event.
This year it was all day because we had to do the COVID testing. It took 7-8 hours to get the kids in. It was not
Fun, huh?
not fun for anyone,
Yeah.
especially the kids.
Yeah.
But normally it's over about a 2-hour window coming in.
And as I recall from seeing it, with the testing, you had a different route for the arrivals than in the past, right? You came in off of,
Yeah, so historically before this summer, we just had them come down Chase Point Road. We also didn't have our facilities driveway built, which is this until about a year, well, maybe 2 years ago now, but we couldn't use it in 2020, we didn't operate. We put this in as we put in new underground that goes to the updated wastewater treatment plant. So this year we had them come down and come around, and we had them park here, but they were literally waiting for a half hour, 40 minutes, because we had to have the kids walk, go get a test, get the results. I hope we never have to go through that again, to be honest. But if we have to, we'll figure it out, right? Hopefully the technology keeps getting faster too. So in the future, we easily could use this to have people start to come on and then go down that way.
yeah, I guess that was my question is, that worked out, I mean, except for the waiting time for the test results and that sort of thing, and all those pieces. Using that entrance worked well in terms of queuing people up.
Yeah, I think the question for the chief is more on 109, which is, you know, we hadn't historically ever thought about doing that because we were worried about the speed coming down the hill at 109. But if chief feels like that, I didn't get to observe that. As long as that's safe in that turning component, I think we're
The
fine.
sight lines are good along there, right?
Yes, as long as you're
It
good.
it
and
isn't
that's-
until you get past that you hit the curve.
And that's how you came in on the Sundays anyway, so
And
it
it
should be
seemed to
okay.
work. Yeah.
So just to be clear, Saturdays they were coming down Chase Point and going out that way versus, and Sundays they were coming in that way. But now, in talking with Seth, the idea maybe is to have Saturdays also when it's pickup day, to come in that same entrance, and
So they can queue
So-
up early over
so
there.
those that show up early will be queued up on that road.
And that will alleviate having Chase Point Road.
It's,
Yeah, I think, you know, and I would just add the caveat, we're dealing with parents of about 290 campers, and there are parents sometimes that show up at 8 a.m. and, you know, we're not always out there.
Doesn't matter what you tell them.
So, you know, is there a likelihood there might be a couple of parents and we have to tell them to go turn around and drive around? Yeah, and we're happy to do that, but people are still people.
Yeah, well, what we want to do is alleviate the situation that we've had in the past, and at least a couple of times this year, where half of one side of Chase Point Road is blocked up with people that are just queued up there. So if you can use that, from my perspective, you can use that other driveway for the comings and the goings. I mean, for the arrival of the parents dropping people off and the arrival of the parents picking them up. And once they pick the kid up, then they're not staying anymore, right? They're just leaving.
Yeah.
So there isn't any,
There's a checkout process they go through, and
but they're on the camp property, not on the road at that point, correct?
There is a couple times that there will be like a car stop to ask which entrance to get. So it's not gonna, there still will be some people stop, but not queued up like 36 long, a long section. You can't foresee all of
In
that.
my mind, there's a difference between somebody pulling up on the road and stopping and saying, you know, I'm lost, or, you know, where do I go? And a long line of cars that are just camped out there waiting for the gate to open, so to speak. So,
No, we gotta keep moving.
Yeah, it doesn't work to have, I mean,
I'm just, you know.
if on the inbound lane you've got 10 cars or 15 cars parked, the people that have dropped their kid off are now using the outbound lane. So you're essentially taking the road over. So I guess my concern is that, are you gonna limit traffic on Chase Point Road? Or are you just gonna suggest that people come in that north entrance?
no, I mean, we all summer had somebody standing here directing. Now, the people
Well, we're
sometimes,
at- Okay, let's say that whole road from 109 to the junction with Chase Point, that interior road.
this section here,
No, the other one. Facilities Road, you called it.
this facilities
that.
drive,
Let's say that's full of cars. What happens?
I think then they get backed up on 109.
And then, is there communication between the junction of that interior road and whoever's
Yeah, we have everyone on radio. We have flaggers.
letting the
Yeah.
campers in?
Yeah, I mean, Chief saw it. We have every staff member on radios. Everyone's in staff shirts. It's pretty clear on that process. Yeah, I think roughly this road can hold 30 to 40 cars. So it's not, you know, like a small, you know, this driveway here is. I think
But on a typical changeover day, how many cars are you getting in?
well, we get 200 to 300 cars depending on how many brothers there are,
Okay,
right?
so you're holding
But we don't.
15% of your traffic at any given time.
Yeah. And we give them a couple hour window, and we have some of it staged. But I think the reality is people would be driving both sides of Chase Point Road, right? We release them from here down. There'd be somebody here who might say, hey, hold up for a minute, you know, a couple of cars are coming up. This isn't like 2-lane traffic and camp. So we have to manage that, right? These are all just internal dirt driveways essentially. So we have to manage that. So hey, you 5 hang here, these 3 or 4 come out, these 4 or 5 go in. We had flagger, like a flagger would be here and a flagger here. And so they would, if a car was coming this way, they'd stop them. If a car coming this way needed to get around, they'd stop them and they'd radio and say, I've got somebody who's heading westbound who needs to go through. And they'd hold the cars here, they'd hold the cars here, and they'd let them through. That was the whole, that's what we did this summer.
And that seemed to work once they were able to get onto the, yeah, there'd be 2 or 3 cars maybe queued up for a car to come out, then they'd be let in. But there wasn't, the issue really that seemed to come up was on the Saturday when some over-enthusiastic parents came early. During the rest of the time, well, first off, coming in, they're waiting for tests to get, you know, they're getting released from Clark Field, sending down which way they need to go. And then on Saturdays, Saturdays they're coming directly in Chase Point is the way it was going. And then they'd show up and then they'd be, you know, every once in a while they had to wait like 1 or 2 cars. It was not, in my opinion, that wasn't the bigger issue. The bigger issue was the early arrivals that had no place to really sit till they were allowed onto the property. And I believe this, I don't know how many cars can fit on that facilities road, but if that's the case, if I've never driven the whole thing, but if it can hold like 30 cars or so, it probably will address, because we had 36, so I'm sure the other 2 or 3 could sit down by the laundromat too, because there's a little parking area there.
Mm-hmm.
Plus you start getting a shoulder there, so it's not a
Yeah, the
Road
one's
is wide.
wider down that
Yeah,
way.
It's a really wide shoulder.
Yeah.
so you get a shoulder down there, so it's not the same as if it were up by the farmhouse area with no shoulders. So that was the big issue I saw, was that one narrow window. I think there was a few queued up the next time, but not as many the next changeover day. Just for that one seemed to be 36, which really raised a concern. But you know, the big thing is making sure, you know, those that show up early aren't blocking Chase Point. The rest of the time it seems to go, might be maybe 2 or 3 queued up waiting to go onto the property, but they're not sitting very long and there's somebody there. Okay, now you can go. They had traffic control, but when the bus stopped, there was nothing they could do with the 36 that were sitting there.
Right, so effectively Chase Point Road is closed.
It was a 1-lane road, yeah.
To a 1-lane road. And I talked to Attorney Miller about pullouts. I mean, if you're gonna make a single track out of this, then let's build some pullouts, you know, on the other side of the road.
Yeah, we own both sides of the road for
You
about a
need
mile.
to, I don't see flaggers as a significant enough investment to offset the position you're in as a camp. You still have all the people that have houses down on Chase Point or visiting people down on Chase Point. I think you need to go to your board and ask for a little more investment than flag them. I think it's the political thing to do.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
So I'm Rob Miller, I'm counsel to Bellman, also parent. So I can tell you part of the problem is that for those of us who are coming from down south, I live outside of Concord, it's very difficult to time how long it takes you to get through Wolfboro on a Saturday morning. Right? I mean, you could be stuck in downtown Wolfboro for half an hour. If you don't run into that, and you're trying to time your arrival for 9 o'clock or 9:15, you could get there at 8:30, and that's where we're running into these issues. I think it's not that parents are like deliberately getting there at 8:15. It's that it's hard to time it because of how difficult.
Well, I'm sure you have people that come there for the first time.
Sure.
They're
So
guessing.
my suggestion would be this: we're happy, as we always are, to work with the town and the neighbors to figure out how best to manage these situations.
Well, wait a minute.
You can't go there.
And ready?
That's very funny.
Okay, I'm speaking,
Okay.
and when I'm done, you can speak, okay?
You may or may not be able to
Maybe
speak,
we
right?
can run the meeting.
So, what I was gonna suggest is, let's try this facilities road concept for the first change day or two of 2022, right? Where hopefully we won't be stuck in this COVID protocol. And if that is not sufficient to alleviate the problem, Chief and I are in touch all the time, as Chief and Seth are. Then we'll go, we'll have already gone to the board to talk about alternatives, and we'll go to the next step, because we'll make sure that you don't have that problem with a line of cars blocking the road.
And maybe you do the check-in for, I mean, I understand first year and maybe second year campers having some homesick issues, but there's kids that have gone there a number of years who just want to get dropped off at camp. And maybe you can do part of your check-in off-site or not on Chase Point Road.
Oh,
The
actually,
check-in
have a
actually
bus.
doesn't happen on Chase Point Road. We check in, the check-in this year was on Clark Field. But historically, we actually check in at Common Lodge. The parents, we park within camp, which is a big matrix, and then they go through Common. Yeah, so none of it happens actually on Chase Point. It's just a release point.
No, I'm just thinking if you could relieve some of it by doing it off-site. I don't know, just.
yeah, at a certain point, we have to actually make sure the parent from a legal handoff is handing off their child to us, and
Right.
and pickup's even more critical, right? We have to make sure we're looking, Bill in the eye and saying, Bill, getting that confirmation. So that's a dynamic we can't do. Most of the stuff, just so you know, Chip, we do ahead of time, all the med forms and
Right.
all that stuff gets done. Parents do have to check in with the nurse. Kids' meds are constantly changing, but that's a smaller percentage, obviously, than the whole population. So, yeah, again, this summer we paid, the chief, because of how busy everyone was up here, couldn't staff it the whole summer, but we had offered to pay for have presence and observation, so we're happy to do that again for next summer for if the chief has time and availability, so that there's the chief or somebody he's delegated to is out there observing the flow, and if it's not satisfactory, we're happy to consider other options.
Yeah, it's different, that's a totally different discussion, but having officers on contract for you is a difficult proposition in that availability is the big issue.
No, I know. So we're happy to pay a
Yeah,
different third
we're
party.
happy to pay for somebody to do the beer fest, and, it was difficult to find anybody who wasn't patrolling or on
I
duty.
know. It's
So
a statewide issue, right?
Yeah. yeah. This gentleman wanted to speak. We're talking about traffic on Chase Point Road, and that's all we're talking about today.
Okay. With regard to it, I mean, currently, I believe there's about 8/10 of a mile that we're experiencing the problem. And currently, they do go, it does start and it is loading on 109. From a personal experience, I would question the quality of the flaggers. I don't know if Andy wants to comment on that, but we were directed by people that seem to be unqualified. I don't think you need to go to Harvard or Princeton to be a flagger, but what we were seeing there was, we were pointed out to head on to another car. So that was a big issue. Other than that, you just would be cautious of the credibility of what they say.
So I had the same conversation with Buzz Coleman, who I happen to personally know, about the traffic controls in Conway. And they're abysmal flaggers. So I think a little effort at training might change a lot of things. You know, it's, as the gentleman said, you don't need an Ivy League education to do it, but you do need a certain amount of training so everybody's on the same
Training and
page.
coordination, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
coordination.
you don't want flaggers on both sides letting people go at the same time.
No.
And from my perspective, what you propose in terms of a different way for people to queue up, provided that that solves the problem, makes sense. But I do, we weren't aware until after the fact this year of the problem that developed on pickup day. And so.
Bill, we provided you that 2 years ago. We provided you that 2 years ago. It's been a problem for a long time.
This year,
Oh, okay, well, 2 years ago you knew about it.
this year.
Okay.
So with the altered traffic pattern that you were using this year, things seemed to be working fine until we ended up with the queue up on Chase Point Road that caused some issues. So there's always the time disconnect in terms of when something becomes an issue and when it bubbles up to where it comes to us, and the chief's been dealing with these things right along. So personally, I'm comfortable with what you've proposed, provided that that's what happens, and that you need, if something starts to develop, you guys need to be proactive immediately to deal with it, and not kind of let it go for this week, and then maybe next week we'll get it better. If there's a situation that develops and you have a way that you can immediately kind of jump in and make and alleviate it, then I think it goes a long way toward keeping the road available for other traffic to use besides just the folks coming and going from camp. So.
And there's additional parking available. I mean, if you, looking at it, say you had an additional 5 cars that needed space, but you didn't have space on your side road to put them, they can park at the public parking just down the hill. That would definitely require you having somebody there with a radio telling them it's time for them to go. But I mean, you don't have to park on the side of the road on 109, that's what I'm saying.
So I know on the day when they come in on the Sundays, they've had somebody down at the laundromat with a radio and communication with everybody else.
Right.
I can't speak for them, but I assume they do something similar on the Saturdays when if they're gonna change the plan around.
Of course, yeah.
And so there'd be somebody at the laundry that could, hey, we're kinda jammed up here, or can you park over on this side of the laundromat? Or you need to go down there. So that's how it worked on the Sundays. They had somebody at the laundry, they had somebody at 109 saying, no, you gotta go down there to that's where the entry is. There were signs, and there was a table there with a easy up tent, and somebody there saying this is where you come in and head on up, and I don't know what they said, but so I think to your concern about that, I would presume they would do something similar.
Yeah. I mean, I think if our collective goal is to keep Chase Point open for two-way traffic, is 100% of the time would be our goal, but if we can do it as even 85% of the time, I mean, we need to have that as a collective goal. And how you structure where you put your people in your cars should be towards that goal.
I worked the first weekend for that changeover, both sides of it, and other than a couple of times where like 2 or 3 cars asking, is this the way in?
Yeah.
And somebody stopped behind him, that was about it.
And that's been going on.
It just happened this one week, all of a
75
sudden,
years.
for some reason, there were a bunch of people that, maybe there wasn't bad traffic coming through Wolfboro, so everybody got there early. I don't know what it was, but there was a huge, it became an issue and then the next week, it was not the next week, it's every 2 weeks. The next changeover day, there were a few, but not as bad as what it was. it wasn't the 36, it was maybe 8 or 9.
Well, let me reiterate.
So I think it's not
I
a big
think,
thing, but it's,
You know,
happens.
with the provision of queuing up on your utility road rather than on Chase Point Road, and being engaged with what's going on and aware, and if something starts to develop, being on it now rather than just sort of letting it follow its course for the day, and I don't know what that takes to be on top of it, that we can make the problem that's been a problem not a problem. And that's what we want. So, I mean, if somebody coming down the road has to stop for a minute while somebody else is turning in someplace, that's one thing. But if it gets back to a situation where you have a number of people queued up there, then it sort of drives us back to where things have been historically in terms of creating a one-lane situation, and that's what we want to avoid.
And I don't know what the systems you have in place are, but I certainly hope the chief isn't trying to track you down to figure out traffic control. So I'm sure you've got somebody that's in charge.
Yeah, our assistant director oversaw all of that and assigns everyone where to be and at what time and what location and clarifies what radio channel and so we have a whole.
They had the ones that were doing the traffic control, like with the flaggers, if you will, by, is it Junior Courts marked there?
This is the main entrance right here.
Yeah, by Junior Courts, and they're up almost by the cadets there, by the other end. They were wearing what appeared to be, ANSI traffic vests and had the proper signs from what I saw. I don't know about the training, but from what I saw, they had the proper equipment to be out in a work zone in the roadway as required by Department of Labor and all that good stuff. I don't know about the training part, but there is DOT training available for that. That's not particularly onerous, and obviously it's not master degree stuff. It's pretty basic, but it's a little bit. It's not nothing, and I don't know how applicable it always is to 100% to this, but it might be something to look at. It's only a couple hours, if that.
Okay.
That's not a really good system for sort of radioing, so, we're not on the same, those people are not on the same channel as the other communication that's happening at camp of, oh, we need to move more people down here, so there's a channel change that happens for that.
So making a sausage here, I'm not really concerned about. Okay, that's your thing to figure out how to make those things work. I appreciate what you're saying, but you guys have been doing this for a while. You can figure out how to deal with any little bumps that come up now rather than in the rears. And any wrinkles that come up that can, if they're dealt with timely, then I think that the world gets along a lot better.
Yeah.
Just one thing, clarification. You mentioned the parking lot. Isn't that, well, one, it's overburdened already, and two, that's paid, where islanders have to have a paid permit to use that. That parking lot down there could not be used for staging, I don't think. One, it's overburdened, and two, you made a suggestion that could be used. I think the islanders, speaking with the islander, as an islander, we paid for permits to use that.
Just for overnight.
So during the day, there's no
Anyway.
permit?
I mean, if you're at the beach, if I go to the beach and there's no, although I don't go to the beach, but if I were, and there was no parking at the beach, I'd park.
You can park there. Okay, I wasn't sure.
The permit is only required for overnight use.
Okay, but for the record, that parking spot is overburdened as it is.
Sometimes it's
Yeah.
overfull.
Sometimes.
Right.
Well, Saturdays,
So,
Oh, maybe we'll put a warrant article
Right.
put together and make it bigger.
yeah. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
While you're here, Attorney Miller, you
Yes.
sent a missile over to us.
Some light reading? Yes.
Yeah.
I just skimmed it, and one thing stood out, and that is the owner of the store down there has a dock in the Condo Dock Association, the end of that pier serves. She can do whatever she wants with it.
No, I disagree.
Well, I can have a friend that I'm not gonna get into an argument with you about it. If she has somebody pull an airplane into that, that's her decision, not the town's decision. The town has control over the 19-mile pier,
Right?
and we'll decide what happens there. But we can't mandate what she can do with her private property. We can mandate what she can do, as you mentioned, with her store property.
Right.
But that dock is just, curtilage to the store. It just is part of what she has. It's not part of where she delivers groceries or does any of that sort of thing.
But I think the point that I'm making in the memo is that if she uses her store as the base of operations for a commercial seaplane operation, which is, if you look at the permits that she's seeking from DOT, that's what she's trying to do. That's not permissible without a variance. She needs a variance to do
Right,
it.
and if she wants to use her dock for commercial purposes, that she'll need a variance for that.
Right. That's all I'm
For
saying.
private usage of that dock, she has whatever.
If it's private and non-commercial, we agree.
Okay.
But that's not what she's trying to do.
Well, I don't know, I haven't been to.
And the other thing is, the Department of Safety is going to be looking into this as well, so.
Well, it certainly
That's
seems
fine.
as though they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having been living with married to and siring attorneys, you must be getting paid by the page.
I just try to be complete so that everybody knows what's going on.
All right.
Thanks for having us.
Yep.
Thanks for coming in.
All
Good
right.
to see you.
Thanks. So we have the residents of Shirley Way.
Are they coming in?
Oh, they're here.
They're in the other room.
Oh, good. They have 20 minutes of our precious
Yep.
time.
Yep.
Something I need to stay for, or?
I don't know.
Oh.
Next crowd?
No, I think it's a traffic issue.
Yeah, I don't know the traffic, but if you want to say that's fine.
Do you need a non-public mention at some point in time?
I don't know.
Probably not today,
No. Okay.
but there was something I heard that you're involved in,
Yeah.
a public safety issue,
A what?
public safety issue. And I just wanted
Whatever you
to,
want.
yeah, I know, that's what I said.
Yep.
I'll say this.
Good morning. Welcome, folks.
Right.
We saw this coming. We'll grab a few more
Is
chairs.
there anybody left watching the chickens over there?
Joyce, are you gonna be the spokesperson?
Sort of, I
You can
guess.
move up here
I'll ask.
Come on up
to
to
make
table.
more room.
All right,
So you asked us to come see us today? and
I
here we
did.
are. We
All
don't
right.
have a
Okay,
lot of time.
And we don't either.
Good.
Actually, I have a demo appointment and my husband has a hearing aid appointment. Okay, are we all here?
We're
Do we need to introduce ourselves or anything?
No?
Okay, great. We are here from Shirley Way. We met with you in October 19th, 2020 with a petition. I don't know if you remember that, if you want to look at it. And all signed by all of the 39 residents of Shirley Way. We were informed at that meeting that we would be on the docket for having paving done actually 2 years ago this year, which hasn't happened yet. And so we are here just to remind you kindly that we really are very interested in having Shirley Way redone, repaved for next year.
So, thank you. We haven't forgotten. I will tell you that we recently did a ride around with the road agent, looking at the through roads and at neighborhood roads. Shirley Way is one of a number of neighborhood roads that we have that need attention. And what we have, the direction that we are headed at this point, and again, we're not into the budget season yet, but we're into the planning for the budget season, is that we intend to put an article on the warrant this coming March that will be directed at neighborhood paving, in addition to our regular road paving article. And the purpose is so that as we go forward in 2022 and subsequent years, that in addition to doing the main road paving, that we're gonna have some separate focus on doing all of these neighborhood roads that need some rebuilding and rework.
And just to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I understand you've done Dame Road and Federal Corners Road, or at least Dame Road you're working on.
Right. So we have an ongoing schedule that we're working on the main roads. Yeah.
Those are the through roads that he was talking about.
Exactly.
Right.
Roads that go somewhere.
Right. So Dame Road was completed this year. The base coat on North Line Road was completed, the second section of base coat. Base coat on the upper part of Federal Corner was completed this year, and that will be those two will be part of the ongoing main road paving in 2022. And then we're gonna, as I say, we're gonna focus separately on doing work on neighborhood roads.
Right, and we were informed at that meeting that generally what you do is the year before you begin the paving is that you do the culverts and the ditching and repairs, which you have done for Shirley last year.
Right.
Shirley Way was ditched
So
a bit.
we did get an estimation, a quote from Allstate Construction on Chandler Road and Shirley Way. So the total for both of those is $268,764. We also had a quote on Pine Mill Road at $186,000, Tupek Road at $135,000, and Canaan Road at $48,651. So what I was going to bring up, not today because we don't have 3 selectmen here, was the proposal that we do half of Chandler and Shirley Way this year, or 2022, and we do Canaan. Canaan needs to get done for plowing purposes, so it's more of an issue, I think, than Chandler. But at any rate, that amount of money would come up to $183,000. We had talked about $200,000 in that neighborhood warrant article, but we hadn't finalized that discussion. We were just trying to flesh out some ideas about how we could do a paving. We will continue to do the paving, but we need to grow the paving budget a little bit each year as well in order to catch up. And by breaking the neighborhood roads out into a separate warrant article, it frees them up from the lock that we've had on the paving budget to try to get large sections of through roads done.
Yes. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just a couple points. Dan Lake, resident. The road is currently breaking up. For decades, we've been driving on base coat. Never was, to my knowledge, top coated. Next, ditching and drainage in many sections is absolutely inadequate. And we all know that it's water that breaks up roads faster than anything. In many places, the side of the road just tails off a few inches from the height of the pavement. And lastly, my observation in life is that when things are going downhill, it's generally cheaper to fix them sooner than later.
So I guess what I would say is that the program that we're looking at is rebuilding the road.
In many places, yes.
No, rebuilding the road.
Rebuilding, meaning there are large rock, there's a few large
so-
rocks
so
that you would be
what-
digging down underneath the surface.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
doing it right.
so in rebuilding roads, what we do is, the first step is the road agent will go in and remove large rocks and other underground obstacles. I mean, we're digging holes in the road to do that.
Yes.
Right? The contractor comes in and grinds up the road that's there. And that material, along with whatever gravel is necessary, becomes the new base for the road. And then we put down a new base coat of paving, 2 1/4, 2.5 inches typically.
But this, these quotes include 2 feet of crushed gravel
2 feet of crushed gravel,
for a base.
Yeah.
Right.
2 feet deep, what are you saying?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful.
And
So,
when it's-
so that's, in our view, Shirley Way, putting a top coat over what's there now is not the answer, okay? So
Definitely not.
that's, you know, that time is well past. So what we're anticipating is doing what we do with the main roads, which is to rebuild base coat, and then in a subsequent year, come back in and put a top coat on to seal it. It's what we've done and has worked out well on the main roads, and is the recommended approach for rebuilding the neighborhood roads as well. With respect to drainage, if we have issues with no ditching, no place for water to go, we rely on the road agents' experience and expertise as it relates to where culverts go and where the drainage goes. If what you're suggesting is we need to put in a whole new drainage system around the road,
Not entirely, but in many places, yes. And in some places, the home driveways come out level right to the road. The ground is level, and there's no culvert under the driveway for drainage. So all of that is just a dam that keeps the soil wet late into spring, late winter, early spring, when the trucks drive over it, and it just pounds it down.
so you're suggesting that we should have everybody put a culvert down on their driveway?
Well, if you want good drainage, you're gonna have to add a few culverts.
Yeah. So the driveway culvert is the homeowner's responsibility, but we can direct that, certainly, and maybe we should. So it probably makes sense to have the road agent look at all of these with a critical eye going forward before we get launched into the rebuilding.
We definitely need a plan
Yep.
for any work in addition to this work that
Right.
I've just quoted.
I think many of the culverts are there were installed by the actual homeowners originally anyhow. I mean, they've done that in preparation for the base coat 20-some years ago.
Before the roads were paved even.
Before.
Right,
And they did it on, yes.
right.
So you're saying now that is the responsibility of the homeowners?
Driveway culverts are always the responsibility of the homeowner, right, for your driveway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't let your water go, or ice or whatever go out into that. But the main roads are gonna be higher than the driveways at this point. If we go 2 feet, as
Yep.
they're talking about here.
Yep.
Could I just add one other point? Blue Heron Circle is part of the original development, just as Woodland is, and it was never paved because there were no houses. Now there are 2 houses on that.
And it's not a town road.
And
It is a town road.
It is not, we looked
It
it
is
up.
not a town road.
it has a good base,
We did.
it is well ditched,
They had
but
us-
it
But
needs
it's not,
paved.
but it's not a town road.
We
right?
were told it was.
No.
When Buddy LaRue did the, turned over,
Well, I know
released
the
bond.
question came up recently, we went back and researched it, and it was not adopted as a town road. So if, for those on Blue Heron, if they want it to become a town road, then the procedure is it needs to be brought up to specification, just like the roads that we accepted earlier today, which includes things that for some reason weren't required when Shirley Way was included. So town spec includes properly drained, built, drained, and ditched,
Okay.
and base coat and top coat of paving. That's a requirement for a road to be accepted as a town road.
It has to be paved.
Absolutely.
I've had several conversations with Jack and with some other Board of Selectmen meetings. It was 22 feet is the width of a town.
Yeah. Right.
So, yeah, we had the specs. The drainage wouldn't be a problem. There's 22 feet there.
Mhm.
The drainage ditches, we've actually done ourselves and we can redo those. What's the other specification?
So, a residential road to be accepted as a town road has to be paved to town spec.
When did that go into effect?
I have no idea. I've only lived here for 15 years and it's always been true since I've been here.
And we've only been here 8 years, but
Yeah.
we were informed that it was. Do any of you Marty?
Yeah, I'm Marty Billiper.
I'm ready.
I tend to agree with the selectmen about that section of the road. Unfortunately, it has to be brought up and was never accepted. And the town has to, the owners in that area have to do that. However, where I deviate a little bit is the course of action. And I'll come back to the drainage part of things. Your limit within that area is you got a lot of water, and as you said, where does it go? Well, the driveway culverts should all be looked at one time. But there are many of them that doesn't do much,
Right.
the driveway culvert. From my experience down in that area, it's getting the water to move in the direction of the gradient in that area.
Sure.
And that is a task all in itself. I would like to say that road itself was built properly. And I'm a little surprised to hear that it's not being, quote, engineered, if I may use that term, for drainage purposes. And that's not, that's like in a lot of places like that. So I think you'll see if test holes were done, those roads were brought up to the right spec by Buddy. And it's almost at the point that this road is going to be costly to do. Well, at least I know it is.
Well, even 20 years ago.
Because you got to reclaim it. And depending upon how you reclaim it, you can, there's several options in that, but those reclaimers are very expensive. I.e. the state, when they reclaim, they not only reclaim the top, but they go in to part of the base that exists there. Those reclaimers can go down as far as 8 inches. And sometimes they'll bring that to the stockpiles. They may separate it, or they may just use that again on a secondary or a tertiary road. So looking at that, when you talk about our road, you got to talk about Pacifics, at least from my perspective. And Pacifics mean that has to be a project almost by itself. And it has to be engineered. In other words, somebody, pardon me, should be looking at that and at least get minimum corrected on the drainage. and where it's gonna go, because, you know, it's all draining towards Cox Pond, we all know that. And that's kind of tricky. And you've done a pretty good job over the years. And I've lived there 28 years, so
Well, even, as I was gonna
I
say.
have to give you credit from that perspective.
Even 28 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
The process was that the road design was brought before the planning board. The planning board hired an engineer, which was paid for ultimately by the
By the
developer.
developer, right?
That engineer oversaw the building of the road and signs off on it. Short of new construction, what would have to happen in order for us to consider taking that road over is you'd have to go through, have an engineer come up with a design, update whatever needs to get updated, bring that up to town standards. At which point we wouldn't really have an option, we'd have to take it over. The Supreme Court's told us that. But we don't have to take it over unless it's at town specifications. So the first thing to do is to have an engineer walk around it. We can suggest an engineering company.
Now, we're speaking specifically now about Blue Heron.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and we're
Yeah.
very interested in Blue Heron,
And
obviously.
we may have,
We live there.
we may have an engineer, probably will have an engineer look at Shirley Way
Mhm.
prior to us getting the project started.
And that's in 2022, you plan to
Right.
get the project started.
So that, you know, the drainage is conforming to some sort of plan, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know, I haven't looked into what's on file here as far as the engineering plans for Shirley Way.
Yeah,
But,
I'm sure there's something in the subdivision file, but
yeah.
I don't know how complete it is.
Yeah. So there's a process that needs to happen, and in order to get Blue Heron to come into that process.
So to cut to the chase here, our intent is to rebuild this road properly, okay? So you mentioned drainage. Drainage is always key to any roads, and we always attempt to do proper drainage on all the roads that we rebuild. Put down a proper base coat of paving, and then in a subsequent year, a top coat of paving. That's the direction that we're headed with this project, as it is with all the other road projects that we do. Over the past 12 years, I think it is, that Jim has been the road agent, there was one time that was deviated from, and that was the upper section of Ledge Hill Road, when it was just paved over what was already there. And at this point, we're to a point where it needs some serious work. We have had engineered a drainage improvement plan for Upper Ledge Hill Road. That estimated cost of doing, if I remember correctly, is $125,000, something like that, to get the drainage right. So I don't anticipate that there's going to be that much involved with your road, but these are all things that have to happen if it's going to be done right. And you know, for us to come in and lay down a coat of pavement on top of what's already there, it's a temporary Band-Aid.
And we do not want that.
And just to take the sting off it a little bit, we took over a farm pond road this morning, which they paid
Yes.
all the money to do. But also this year, we took over part of Willand Road,
Which way, which way?
Class 6 road that
Yeah, we returned
Class 5.
an old non-maintained road to maintain status for the town.
And in that setting, as well as at Zadida Farms over on the backside of the hill, there was a process that we've gone through where the town pays for that upgrade, brings the road to town standards, and then assesses each property owner on an annual basis for, on the Land Road, we're doing it for 10 years. So, and it's based on property value. So you would get an additional tax bill for 1/10 of your share of that construction to bring that up to And on the Willand Road project, the homeowners put in some money to begin with. So it sort of took the burden down a little bit, but, so there are ways to finance this, if you will, over time, as opposed to you guys going home and worrying about how are we gonna raise $300,000. So you're welcome to do that, but if you want to approach us with the idea of having a separate tax on your road to accommodate that, that's available too.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Marty, did you have anything else to add? I wasn't sure you were finished.
No, not this time.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you very much for coming in, folks. I appreciate the input. You got 30 seconds.
All right, thank you. The essence of this meeting is to make you aware of the condition of the road, which I think you are. It scares me a little because in Tuftonboro you just took on Farm Pond Road, which I understand you had to do, but you can't handle the roads that you have now. And we just don't want to be shoved further down the list.
Well, Farm Pond is brand new, so we can handle that.
Yeah, but
And it's
20 years from now, it's going to be a problem too.
Hopefully not. We're trying to catch up.
Yep.
Doing the best we can.
Well, we appreciate all the good work you do, and we're very pleased with your intention of putting us on the docket for 2022.
Great. All right.
We'll do it right.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good job. Thank you,
All right.
Jim. You're encouraging.
Take care. All right. Do we have any action items? I didn't see any.
No, you don't.
Okay. We got a big list of correspondence. I'm not gonna, you can list it in the minutes. I'm not gonna jump into it. Do we need a short, non-public?
Just
You might get,
All right.
You
Yep.
can.
All right.
well, Val's got it.
Off you go.
I'm going with George.
So
Oh,
we need to go out of public session into non-public.
Oh, yeah?
91A
91A
for
for, I don't know,
reputation.
for reputation. All right. So Marcus, yes.
I'll be yes. Here, Joe, I'll move it outside for you.
Are you all done?
We gotta
Yep.
go in non-public.
Yeah. We
Oh.
got a quick non-public and then we're
I
done with
didn't know
everything
that.
else.
All right, two questions, I don't care. All right, Chip,
Yeah.
last meeting I asked you about, you asked Diane about the Conservation Commission and the difference between $5,000 and $10,000.
Yes,
Yeah.
we got the answer.
And I've got the answer here if you'd like to look at it. It was a Warren article that was done.
It's a yes or no, okay, so they're gonna get 10,000.
10,000.
Okay, and is the seaplane issue all done?
No,
No.
Well, it's done as far as you're not doing it.
All right, thank you very much.
Right.
never,
Right. Where is done with it is we're gonna
the
be.
war's never over.